You're listening to On the Way Home with your host, Emmy Kelly.
Welcome back to On the Way Home. I'm your host, Emmy Kelly, and today we're taking a closer look at how energy programs are helping make life more affordable for Ontarians, especially for those living in community and non-market housing. Through the Independent Electricity Systems Operators Energy Affordability Program, households and housing providers can access free energy saving upgrades and advice designed to lower costs and making homes more comfortable. Joining us today is Arwa Sayyadi, Program Advisor for Community Program Performance at the IESO, who helps guide and expand these programs to reach low-income households and the affordable housing sector. We will hear about the new Energy Affordability Program, to the Oil to Heat Pump Affordability Initiative, and hopefully through this podcast, we'll better understand how IESO helps ensure that everyone, regardless of income, can afford to live in a home that's both affordable and energy efficient. Arwa, thank you so much for joining us today on the way home. We're going to start with our signature question. What does home mean to you?
Well, to me at least, I think home is a place where you feel at ease, where you feel physically and emotionally you're most comfortable. I'm someone who has had many homes. At one point in my life, my school felt like my home more than anywhere else by that definition. When I moved here from a different country, that feeling of safety and ease eventually became associated with a new country. So I think it's just being in a surrounding where you can say, here my nervous system feels safe, regardless of what shape that place takes on the outside.
And you are involved in the Energy Affordability Program. To start, do you think you could give our listeners an overview of how it helps Ontarians reduce their energy costs?
Absolutely. So the Energy Affordability Program, or EAP as we call it, is a no-cost, provincially funded program in Ontario. It helps income-eligible homeowners reduce their energy costs and improve their home comfort through free energy savings upgrades. It applies to both homeowners and tenants, including affordable housing. And it is administered by the Independent Electricity System Operator. So that is where I work, and that is basically the organization that manages Ontario's electricity system. And this program aims to make energy efficiency more accessible to Ontarians who may otherwise struggle with their high utility bills. And kind of quickly at a high level, the way it works is it has two streams of support. The first stream is called the comprehensive support stream. And that is where a home energy assessment is carried out, first by a trained professional, and then that is followed by the installation of whatever the home may qualify for. So from the kind of easy to install measures like LED bulbs, smart power bars, low flow water measures, to larger measures like appliances such as fridges, freezers, dehumidifiers, home draft proofing, home insulation, and air source heat pumps. So that's one stream under that program. The second stream is called the Energy Saving Kit stream, and this is for households with slightly higher income than the first stream. And this involves instead a free kit mailed directly to the home with simple, easy to install energy saving products like LED bulbs, aerators, and power bars.
And maybe I'll ask for our listeners, how long has this affordability program been in place?
So the Energy Affordability Program, as it is called now, has been in place since 2021. There were other iterations of the program very similar to it before. It was called the Home Assistance Program, and that's been running since 2016. So it's been running for a long time, or kind of iterations of this program have been running for a long time. But the Energy Affordability Program specifically, as we call it now, has been operational since 2021.
Awesome. And this program recently introduced the new stream. Can you tell us more about what's new and how this addition enhances support for low-income households?
Absolutely. So the Energy Affordability Program has recently been expanded with funding support from Natural Resources Canada, or NRCan, to now include efficient cold climate air source heat pumps for oil heated income eligible homeowners. So the oil to heat pump expansion to the program is specifically for homeowners, just to specify. So kind of before, under the Energy Affordability Program's comprehensive stream, it was electrically heated homes only that could qualify for weatherization and for cold climate air source heat pumps. But now, with this new oil to heat pump offer, eligible homeowners with oil fueled heating systems may qualify to receive a cold climate air source heat pump up to a cap of $25,000, along with weatherization under that comprehensive stream. Um, and to answer your question about how this, I think for income eligible households, and heat pump can help participants lower their energy costs, which is the big one. It can keep the home more comfortable. It helps to also lower the carbon footprint. And this program does not require any payment from the participants. It is fully funded by the IESO and NRCan with the goal of providing opportunities for income eligible Ontarians to make their homes more energy efficient.
When you say income eligible, would you just share kind of what that threshold is right now?
Sure, and the exact kind of numbers are on our website at saveonenergy.ca. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head,
Okay.
but basically the way it works is once you go on the website, it's a table that kind of shows, depending on the number of people in the household, what the income threshold would look like. But we have different kind of types of equivalents. So it could either be you qualify based on income, but you could also qualify if you receive certain types of support from the government. If someone lives on reserve, they automatically qualify. They don't have to show income. We work with affordable housing to kind of do a blanket approval as well. So that there's a lot of equivalents, but the income thresholds are based on the number of people in the household, and that's all on our website at Save on Energy / Energy Affordability Program.
But if I'm catching you right, it does definitely work in favor of more vulnerable families and populations. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. It is meant to be targeted towards individuals who would otherwise struggle to be able to benefit from these kinds of energy saving measures without this program.
And so maybe while we're there, why don't you tell us about how IESO ensures that programs like the Energy Affordability Program reach the people and the communities who need them the most?
So the Energy Affordability Program eligibility, as I was just telling you, isn't just based on income. So obviously income is, we try our best to target the income to make sure it represents the households we're trying to reach, but also we try to align with other governmental programs and support so that individuals who are receiving certain benefits from the government, such as Ontario Disability Support Program, Ontario Electricity Support Program, allowance for the seniors, Healthy Smiles Ontario, these are just to name a few, would automatically qualify for the Energy Affordability Program, and they don't have to show income. So them being part of a certain program bypasses the need for them to have to show income or to participate in EAP. And again, that was just a few examples. The full list is on our website, saveonenergy.ca /EAP. I might have butchered it before when I was giving the website, but it is saveonenergy.ca /EAP. I should say additionally, the way we run our program is we have delivery partners delivering the program on our behalf. So we work with Clear Result, Enviro Center, and the Home Inspectors Group, depending on the region. And they are really the boots on the ground doing the audits, doing the installs. And because they work directly with vulnerable and income eligible households, they understand the local needs and barriers, and they can identify those who most need support. They have active community presence. Their delivery methods provide kind of the hands-on tailored assessments and installation approaches that match the local housing type, the language needs, the cultural context. And it is through these regional partners that we as the ISO can reach urban, rural, remote, and indigenous communities more effectively than a centralized approach could. And lastly, I should mention, when it comes to First Nations communities, the ISO provides funding to a community energy champion, as we call it. And these are local to a community and often act as a liaison between us and the Chief and Band Council. And they help to deliver our program because they are the representatives that essentially know the community and who the community also knows and trusts.
That's very cool. You've worked closely with individuals and communities on energy efficiency initiatives. What have you learned from those experiences that informs your work with housing providers, tenants, and local partners tackling affordability challenges right now?
Well, that's my opinion. You will never have an energy efficiency program that addresses everyone's needs and situations ready to go from the start. I've learned that progress often comes from trial and error. So we are always trying to improve and hone our programs. Energy efficiency programs are works in progress. They are shaped by the communities and groups, the events of our time, the individuals we work with that give us feedback and help us improve. For example, if I may, one such piece of feedback has been how historically our programs have kind of had this start-stop approach. They last for a few years, typically 3, and then we launch a new framework and then restart our programs all over again. So participants had to get their applications in quickly for this framework. Before the next framework begins, they have to wait to see if a new framework is going to happen. And our stakeholders gave us feedback that this is confusing to the marketplace. So now we are moving away from that kind of time-bound start-stop demand-side management program model, and instead we have a 12-year funding commitment from the Ontario government beginning Jan 2025. And that's been because our stakeholders have been so vocal in helping us see that this wasn't supportive of their needs. And the more we can extend the duration of a program, which is great, 12 years now, the easier it will be for them. We've also heard feedback, for example, that there are a lot of programs out there, and that can cause so much confusion among participants in terms of which program does what, which one is suitable for me, which one do I apply to first. And many applicants have so many things they're dealing with, so many other issues on their mind. They don't have that capacity to maneuver through all these programs. So one of the things we've done as a result of that is try to partner with Enbridge Gas to bring our energy affordability program and their home winter proofing program, which is for the natural gas bill side of things, under a one window approach. So we've aligned on our eligibility, we've aligned on our delivery, same delivery agent, same delivery approach. And therefore, if one person qualifies for Enbridge's home winter proofing program, they would automatically qualify for the energy affordability program and vice versa. And then the resident basically gets one home visit and they can qualify for both programs through that one visit. So these are just some examples. We try to get feedback from the market by meeting regularly with our stakeholders and community representatives as well.
I love that, and I think both time and consolidation are so important, particularly for low income families who might already be working extra hard, and then to stay on top of a number of applications and all does add another level of challenge,
Exactly.
which often ends up with people falling further behind.
Exactly. Or they just decide, you know what, I don't have time to apply for this, and then they never get the benefits. So that's the best way to help them access these programs. Absolutely.
So once you're like now with the 12-year program, once you're signed up, is there like a review process annually, or you're just signed up for the 12 years? So let's say if your income levels changed or anything like that, would it impact or no?
Well, because the way that the energy affordability program works is you typically the average timeline is less than a year. So when you go through the program, and I'm happy to kind of walk you through it, but typically it would, you would get your measures within less than a year. So the 12-year framework won't impact you unless you were historically, if you were within that 3-year timeline before we did the 12-year framework, and it was December at the end of that 3 years, and you weren't sure if the program was going to continue, and you're an affordable housing provider and you're trying to get 400 applications in, that was stressful. So now it's just a matter of, come December this year, you don't have to worry about if this program is going to get renewed or not. It's there. So if you get your applications in January or February, it doesn't matter, it's ongoing. So that's where you'll be most impacted, and that's where we saw the most impact. But if your income changes as soon as someone is eligible for the program, even if they weren't eligible before or during or at the beginning of the 12-year framework, you can apply at any point in time. So that doesn't impact you.
Awesome. You mentioned the oil to heat pump program. Can you walk us through that affordability program a bit, how it fits into Ontario's broader goals for energy efficiency, sustainability?
Absolutely. So because the oil to heat pump program in Ontario has been built into an offering as part of the already existing energy affordability program under that kind of comprehensive stream that I walked you through, we've tacked on the oil to heat pump program sort of to that pre-existing process. So the way it works is with the energy affordability program, typically once an applicant applies, they go through a phone screening first to confirm eligibility for the program. So as I said, among the eligibility could be an income component. So the phone screening checks for the household income, how many people are in the home. If someone receives government benefits, instead they can qualify. If someone lives on reserve, they automatically qualify, etc. So they do that phone screening, and then if someone is oil heated, they need to have consumed at least 500 liters of oil in the last year, and that they own and reside in the home. So once that phone screening is done, these questions are asked, and someone is determined to qualify. The next step is to book a home assessment. So that is where an advisor visits the home. And as part of that assessment, the advisor installs measures while they're there on site. So think of the things that are kind of easy to carry. So the LED bulbs, smart power bars, low flow aerators, low flow shower heads. And then while they're there, they do a home assessment, collect information about the home. And then depending on what the home qualifies for, further measures can then be installed at a later time. So that can include fridges, freezers, dehumidifiers. And then before, under the energy affordability program, the homes that were electrically heated could then receive weatherization and heat pumps. So what the introduction of the oil to heat pump program offer did was now enable those oil heated homes to also receive weatherization and a heat pump along with the oil tank removal services up to that $25,000 cap. So the oil to heat pump offering got tacked onto that tail end of the energy affordability program process after someone's already gone through the program, received all the other measures they could get, received potentially appliances, received LED bulbs. So at the end, they could then go on to get that heat pump. And the logic for that was to maximize the benefits so those oil heated income eligible homes get to benefit from the energy affordability program's free upgrades as well. And to answer your question, I think about how this fits into Ontario's broader goals for efficiency and sustainability. I think by introducing that switch from oil heating to electric heating through an air source heat pump, it is a move towards cleaner energy sources that reduces reliance on fossil fuels. It helps to meet the provincial and federal goals of GHG emission reduction. Heat pumps naturally being more efficient than fossil fuel heating systems tend to reduce the energy bills for participants. It supports households who are burdened by the highest heating costs. It reduces their exposure to oil price volatility, and that is another one of our goals, to make energy more affordable. And the other provincial goal is grid reliability and managing Ontario's electricity demand. So by switching individuals to more efficient electric technologies specifically, especially if you combine these technologies with off-peak usage, the overall electricity demand can be moderated.
I was hoping to ask you, and I think you already answered, but just exploring, because many people listening may not realize the financial environmental impact of switching from oil to heat. And I think you touched on it now. Are there any other key benefits that you would say participants are seeing, particularly in non-market housing or lower income rental settings where every dollar saved can be reinvested into housing stability?
Absolutely. I mean, even though I've mentioned the lower heating costs, I think it's important to emphasize how impactful that can be. You think of a heat pump as something that it uses far less energy to produce the same amount of heat. It is actually almost 2 to 3 times more efficient than an oil furnace. So you can think of an oil furnace as something that needs to, in very simplistic terms, it needs to burn fuel to create heat. So the efficiency of that oil tank or furnace depends on how well the oil heating system can convert oil to heat that you can use, to usable heat, basically. So if an oil furnace is 75% efficient, which many can be around that number, that means for every dollar you're spending on burning oil to generate heat, 25 cents of it is just lost in the exhaust. So not all the energy in the oil becomes heat for your home. With a heat pump, it doesn't need to generate heat, doesn't need to burn something to generate heat. It just moves it from one place to another. Even when it's very cold outside, there's still heat there that can be moved. So moving heat takes up much less energy than making it from scratch. So 1 unit of electricity can move 2 to 3 units of heat from the outside to the inside with heat pump technology, even in the very cold weather, as I mentioned. So that means for every dollar you're spending on electricity, you actually now get $2 to $3 worth of heat inside instead of the 25 cents you lost with oil. So I think that's a really important concept for people to understand in terms of how much more efficient heat pumps are. And as I said, there's just volatility with oil prices. Um, having a heat pump reduces the maintenance and delivery costs. Oil systems need annual tune-ups, they need tank upkeep, and these prices fluctuate and they can make financial planning difficult. Heat pumps just naturally have fewer moving parts. They don't have fuel deliveries. And I should say, under our program, we also offer free heat pump maintenance visits at the 1 and 2 year mark after it has been installed. And lastly, from a home comfort perspective, heat pumps provide cooling in the summer as well. People forget about that. There's cooling that comes with heat pumps as well. You get an AC basically in summer when you have a heat pump. They provide steady flow of warm air that is consistent rather than that kind of temperature roller coaster you can sometimes experience with oil heating. Um, they don't burn fuel, as I was saying, so there isn't that kind of the exhaust, the fumes, the soot. They don't release the odors that come from combustion. They're typically quieter than oil furnaces. They don't pose the risk of running out of oil fuel as well. So I think these are probably the key benefits that come out of that switch.
Very cool. And to our listeners, this might seem like more of like a granular conversation about what's happening in some of our scattered sites or buildings. At the same time, I think it's interesting in that it helps us. Thank you, Arwa, for sharing to understand the basic concept behind it, so that we understand as we set things up. So if you could tell us, Arwa, what kind of partnerships or collaborations with affordable housing providers, municipalities, or community organizations have been essential in making these programs accessible and effective. I know you touched on that very cool element that you've structured out in reserves. Could you share a little more with us?
Absolutely. Generally, for the energy affordability program, aside kind of even from the oil to heat pump component, we've tried to make it very simple for affordable housing or community housing providers to qualify and apply by enabling that kind of blanket approval for tenants. So if you even just want to look at the affordable housing side alone, if a tenants within a community or affordable housing building complex, they don't have to show income eligibility. So we've kind of worked to kind of make things easier for them. Our delivery partners also work to make the application and measure installation process and installs in bulk. So that's kind of one type of partnership, I should say, more of a collaboration. We've done things easier. We generally try our best to stay closely connected to our stakeholders and housing providers who want to be involved, to welcome their continuous feedback on our program and approach. And so far, the feedback has been instrumental in making improvements to the future iterations of our program. We've simpler by, as I said, aligning our eligibility with Enbridge's eligibility. So one application, you get the benefit of two programs, and we try to make allowances for as many scenarios as possible. And I should say we even try to cross-promote our programs as part of the existing municipal and community housing programs that exist. The last thing anyone needs to worry about is maneuver through federal and provincial and municipal programs, as great as they are, because they intend to help, but it's hard, especially when you have those three levels of government. So what we've tried to do is where there is a municipal offering already or an existing program offered by many of our community partners, these partners or municipalities would then plug in our program where it is fitting alongside their program so that it is a more seamless experience for the participant, and our program is just kind of an add-on to the whole experience and journey a participant is going through. And I think we really just care to strengthen those relationships. We want to build those synergies just so we can optimize that participant experience and they don't feel like they're having to show income 5 times, they're having to answer the door 5 times, they're having to answer 5 surveys, they're having to go through an application process 10 times. It should be easier for them with everything else going on.
That's awesome. And so looking ahead, what would you say are some of the upcoming priorities or innovations within the IESO's community support programs that our listeners would be most excited about, especially those that could strengthen the housing sector's capacity to provide more affordability?
We're always looking to streamline and simplify our residential offerings so that it's even easier for participants to maneuver through our programs. So I know I've kind of mentioned that a lot, but it makes such a difference to the user interface when that happens. That is an ongoing endeavor. We're continuously looking to improve on our community and affordable housing offers specifically to give affordable housing more focus and more offerings. And as I've alluded to before, we're consistently working alongside Enbridge Gas to align our offerings so that participants don't realize they are going through several programs or 2 programs. That's for us to worry about on the back end. And I should say we are further building our relationship with NRCan. We are aware of a Canada Greener Homes Affordability Program opportunity coming up, and we do see that as being fitting into EAP well. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arwa, for coming on the show and also for sharing where our listeners can access the services, I suppose, and the information. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care. That was Arwa sharing what role energy affordability and oil to heat pump affordability programs play in making non-market and community housing more sustainable, resilient, and affordable. Big thank you to Arwa Sayyadi and the team at the IESO for connecting energy efficiency with housing stability. It's another reminder that when we invest in affordability and sustainability together, we get one step closer to ensuring that everyone has a safe, comfortable, and affordable place to call home. Thank you for listening to On the Way Home, a podcast brought to you by Blue Door.
You're listening to On the Way Home with your host, Emmy Kelly.